Today on Sister to Sister, we have a great show. Why are you pouting?
It's all about the kids today. How do you deal with a pouting child?
And what if you have a strong-willed daughter? Is that a bad thing? And should you spy on your kids?
Stay tuned, spy on us.
Well, hello and welcome to Sister. You've joined us as we discuss the issues of the world from a biblical perspective. That's our hearts to your home. And here we go. This is a good one here. Now, many look at my child and label her strong-willed. So is that bad? How do I graciously debunk that label for my strong-willed daughter? Ooh.
So that's my life right now. I have a strong-willed daughter, and a strong will is not a bad thing. A strong will is actually a good thing. I would say that a strong-willed daughter can change the world. If you look at Esther, if I perish, I perish. If you look at Ruth, where you go, I'll go. I mean, these were some strong-willed women that pushed through. A strong-willed channeled in the wrong direction is defiant and hard and rebellious. A strong-willed child for good, for justice, for truth, for mercy is a powerful thing. And really, I think we're all in this position here because we're strong-willed daughters, is what I think.
That's right. That's right.
Just a thought.
Do you have a strong-willed daughter?
Yes, my youngest is much like me. And I was a strong-willed child. And I say to my mom all the time, how did you guys deal with me? I literally ask them that because I'm like, I don't know how to do it. But I completely agree. I think that, you know, strong-willed can translate into being decisive and confident and being a leader. And those are all good traits. So I think that it is more difficult to parent a strong-willed child, but it's a special type of parenting. It's just, you know, the kids are all different. You have to parent them the way they are and the way their personalities are. And I just think that, you know, God made us the way we are for a reason. And so you do have to channel that. And I do think that you do have to watch how others speak or how we speak about your child. Like, I think that's very important, even when they're little. Like, if they're always hearing, oh, she's so bad, or oh, she's so strong-willed, like the way you say it, I think that they start to believe those things about themselves. So I think we need to speak into our kids, oh my gosh, you're such a leader, I'm so glad you're so confident, you know, just don't allow other people to speak the negative things into your child.
Well, along that line, when you were speaking, I just thought of this. Do you think that being a strong-willed child, whether a daughter or a son, is that environmental or is that inside them? In other words, what Corey said, if you're saying, you're bad, blah, 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 is the child born like that?
I knew from the get-go, this girl is strong-willed. And then after having, you know, my second son who I mean, whenever I ask him to do something and he obeys quickly, I'm just like, I almost can't even believe it because of the strong-willed child first. I mean, textbook strong.
I think there's a difference between being strong-willed and being stubborn.
And, oh, that's good. That's good.
And so when you talk about, you know, my mind just reflects back on something, and the same exact analogy of the people, you know, the Ruths, the Esthers, you know. But if strong-willed is something that is gifted to them by God,
so
because God gives you a free will, right?
Okay, you answered my question.
And so I think as a parent, as Corey was alluding to, it is our job to help shape that. Now, stubbornness, it is my job to address that, because then that goes over into rebellion. And I think that that makes a big difference too. But there is definitely a difference between being strong-willed, which to me is really a gift from God, and that's where we as parents have to, as she said, it takes a special type of parenting.
Oh, do you have strong-willed children?
I'm not sure what they are. Putting a label on a child, I agree with all of you, is not proper to do in the bad sense, but in the good sense, knowing who they are. But I always say this, whatever their bent is, they could be strong, they could be soft. Don't let them defy God's laws to pursue God's purpose.
Right.
Jacob was fighting
stubborn.
for his right. He was fighting for his right to his inheritance when God had already planned it for him. So I think we need to tell our kids, whether they're strong or soft, don't defy God's laws. You know, go for what God's purpose is in your life, but don't try to use improper means to get there.
I love that. I love that. And one thing that I don't love is friends bragging about their kids. I mean, no offense to my friends, but if your friend is always bragging about your kid, I'm happy for how great her son is, but I can't take it. What do I do? And I'm really not speaking to any of my friends. Ha! No.
Thou shalt not lie.
What do we do about bragging friends?
I don't think we have to correct our friends unless they're truly friends and want to hear from us. You correct the fool, they'll hate you all the more. I think we have to model good behavior when it comes to our kids. And as soon as I read this, I thought if God said, when Jesus was going to get baptized, he didn't start his ministry, he didn't do a thing yet, but pray to the Father and build his relationship with God. He said, "This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased." And he told the crowd that. And why was that? I mean, I think if we emphasize, and we could gently tell our friends too, we emphasize character more than the things that they do.
That's good.
When we emphasize integrity, you told the truth there, and I'm proud of you.
Good.
You put your friend first, and I'm proud of you for putting your friend first. You went to the back of the line. You did these things. So when we brag like that, we brag to our kids. And I think let the world says, let another brag about you.
But what you said about mentioning it to your friend, I can't even imagine saying to someone, you're bragging.
Yeah.
But what I can do is temper my own behavior.
Right.
So if I see something that's unattractive in someone, then I know, pull it back.
I think if I can, as Corey is good for doing, just looking at it from another perspective.
Okay.
You know, bragging just in general. And Watchman Nee made a comment. His comment was that if you are going to do that, you know, like if you are going to brag on something or someone, then don't expect God to show up, you know. And in fact, let me just quote this thing right. See, I got to take my glasses off, guys. I made so many notes here. I don't know what the heck
Second question number 2.
Yeah, second question number 2. Bear with. Here it is. Okay, Watchman Nee. If you show off, don't be surprised if God does not show up. So, you know, when you think about it in that perspective and how that a haughty spirit, you know, goes before a fall, goes before a fall, and that men, you know, would be lovers of themselves. Those are the things that we have to guard. So for me, it doesn't just apply to just the child. I think that is something in the parent. You know, the child is just, for lack of a better word, an object to use. I think that the parent themselves just may have issues with bragging.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I just feel like if you're a good friend, why would you be so bothered by your friend talking? Like, I talk to my friends all the time, and we share things about what our kids do. I don't see it as this big, overly spiritual like battle. Like, I just think
I don't think it's spiritual, but I think they're being bragging. To me, it's excessive. You know, like they're being excessive, you know, just going on and on. Well, my child, and it's almost like in a competitive way.
Right, I get that.
So your friends must not do that.
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, if your friendship is leading to that, I think you need to see, maybe you need to develop like some further things to talk about and have some other things in common to talk about. Maybe you have nothing else in common besides your friend,
or
your
you just suck it up and just love your friends.
Yeah,
just
I mean, rejoice with those who rejoice.
I think about the mom that's struggling with her kids deeply, whether it's at school or with friends or at home, and just to be sensitive as another sister friend, and also to watch your own heart that you're not jealous of them, and that you can actually rejoice with those who rejoice, because maybe they just had a prayer answered and a big victory, and you're like, they need somebody to be like, yes, I'm so glad your kid's doing well.
And I want to get this question in too, because this is about spying on your kids. So is it okay to spy on your kids? To read their text, see what they're doing? What do you think?
I say that you go as far as you need to go to keep them safe.
That's right.
So
That's the short answer that you have?
that's my short answer.
Really?
That's it.
Would you?
We all know Flo would. I turn the room upside down, check their body, check their purse, anything. It doesn't matter. If my child's safety is at risk, and I also believe it's my job. Now, I know my sister's going to come from another perspective, and I'm always excited to hear that. And like we always say on the show, iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
But on this one, I do believe in respecting privacy as long as there's no reason for me to have to not do that. And when it comes to them being at risk, there is no such thing as privacy.
But I feel like if you have teenagers, there's always a reason. Like, they're not gonna come out and be like, you should probably be spying on me because there's some issues. I just think that kids are really good at being sneaky and really good at acting like there's nothing wrong. And so I do think that, especially like with cell phones that we pay for and their rooms that are in our homes, and I mean, the police officers even say you should be checking your children's rooms. They show you the things where they can hide. There's actually a demonstration they do. They show you the places where they can hide things. And a journal is a different issue. I think a journal, that's their personal diary. I think that is that's an issue of privacy. But honestly, everything else, I think parents need to be more in their kids' business. I think that's part of the problem with society today. Parents have just kind of washed their hands and said, well, they're a teenager now, they can do it.
I think parents too, because it's so different nowadays, and there's so many things that the parents, they don't like it, like somebody like me who I'm just not techie, and they don't even know how to really go about that. And I think it's a little more sensitive for me in this season because I've recently had 2 people commit suicide, young people. And so even when you talk about the journal, which I agree, like if we'd have had this question several months ago, I'd have been like, yeah, that's right, don't do that. But then you think, when a life is gone, what if they would have looked in a journal? Would they have found something? So you know what I mean?
Well, spying shouldn't be a replacement for having interaction with your kids. I think that's important.
Right. Well, I think these are really important questions, and really good that we asked this question. And I just end this segment with this. If you are paying for the cell phone, then yes, check out those texts. And stay right there. We'll be right back. More Sister to Sister. Well, welcome back to Sister. While you were gone, we continued the conversation, so much so we're going to continue the conversation. And what we were talking about is it okay to spy on your kid, read their journals, check their texts without their knowledge? And Amy just saw a documentary.
My favorite TV show growing up was Inspector Gadget. So that's kind of what I am as a mom. I am all in digging through everything because there is a whole virtual world out there just through a little gadget. And if they don't have one, their friends have one that they have access to and connection to, or a computer. Everywhere they go, there's going to be a whole virtual world. There are secret apps. There are predators out there that are middle school coaches that are pursuing young boys. I mean, you need to know who's contacting my kid. If they're going to get to my kid, they've got to go through me first because I'm the watchman on the wall for my kid. They can't even comprehend the dangers out there because their brain isn't even fully developed yet. They can't see anything future or beyond, but we're hearing stories. We know it's out there, evil, and so we just keep alert and vigilant. So yes, I look at everything.
Now, Roxanne, you have raised 5 children. Did you spy on them?
No. I didn't spy, but as Amy said, it's a little bit of a different world. Of course, my youngest just became a 20-year-old. She was a teen during all the technology. But I do have to say, you have to be a watchman on the wall. But also you have to be, it says encourage one another while the day is still called the day. Build trust in relationships. So I think if you're going to spy, and what I told my kids is, if you give me reason to, I'm going to give you warning that I will look at things, and this is what I look at. So this question says, without their knowledge. I think it's good. You know, we all talk about, I got the right to privacy. You know, we use it as Christians, our right to privacy, our right to worship. So children, I don't say have a certain right, but we as a parent have an obligation, I think, to build trust. You know, I have confidence in you. I trust you until you show me otherwise, till I see signs of this. And parents see signs. They might ignore the signs, but they see the signs. Then you go in and you look and so on, because I think it's so nice to build a relationship with the child of trust, of love, of care, that I know in the end you are going to do the right thing. You may make some turns. Please come to me if you're going to make those turns. I told my daughter, if you're in a situation, call me. My son, don't you be afraid to call me. You're not going to get a lecture from me. I'm going to pick you up and bring you home, and thank you for calling me. So if we emphasize the positive, then we build up people to become the person, as Amy says, even in her relationship with her husband and so on. They become the person we build up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I think that this whole spying question elicited a lot of response from us because it's a really important question. But Corey did something in the promo that was really cute and really fun, but she knows about it because she has daughters. And here's the question.
Oh, son's pouting.
Son, how do you deal with a pouting child? Pout no more, I say.
Ooh.
Well, powder?
I mean, honestly, I do think it depends on the age of the child. First of all, it's never cute. Pouting is never cute.
No. But you looked cute.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I think, especially with younger children, it's a way of manipulation, honestly.
Absolutely.
And I think you do need to deal with it. Although sometimes the best way to deal with it is by ignoring it because they want to elicit reactions. But when it comes to your teenager, I think it's a different story. And you alluded to two young people that just recently committed suicide. I think teens, they put on this air of, I don't want you involved in my life and I don't want anybody knowing my business and that. But I really do think that they want to know somebody cares. Somebody notices them. Somebody sees. So if your teen is pouting, don't make fun of them. Don't ignore them. Talk to them, use it, use the opportunity. I just think it's so important. I remember being a teenager and just, you don't even know why you feel the way you do, but you just want somebody to ask you like what's wrong or how you're feeling. You just want somebody to notice.
Wow. That's good.
I didn't even consider pouting with teenagers, which
I
is
was thinking little ones.
Yeah, which is I'm thinking give them a spanking and roll.
Quit pouting, I'll give you something to pout about.
Yeah, you want to pout over that lollipop? No.
But the teenager thing, that was good. That was good. Did your children pout?
Yeah, I think everybody's child does, but
I think you whack them. We're not whack them. I don't mean that. Okay.
No. I totally agree with Corey. I believe it's a manipulation tool. I believe you do need to address it, so you need to use wisdom in how you address it. I think what the parent also has to watch for is that they don't become the pouty child. Because I'm pouting because my child is pouting because it's embarrassing me in front of all of you all. So then the correction comes from that place.
Or if you pout because you're mad at your husband, then your children see you pouting.
And so sometimes it's a learned behavior, you know?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, no pouting allowed.
If they're pouting or acting moody because I won't buy them something at the store, I promise you they will never have that.
Yeah.
There's like a line. I am not going to reward you pouting and manipulating to get something, from
I'd like
me.
to discuss one thing my daughter's using with my granddaughter. She's distracting from the real issue. You know, like if she's pouting about having that toy or whatever, she distracts her with something else that changes the atmosphere. Her voice goes up, she's happy, instead of being mean and aggressive, she's taught me in that. She has been joyful. Okay, come, let's look at this. Distracting a small child, I think, is very good. If you have a small child,
and it's easy.
That's easy, right, to do that
and
one.
Then use your words.
Yes, use your words.
Use your words.
Use your
Try
words.
to describe your feelings, because kids cannot adequately at times describe their feelings. And I hear parents saying now, use your words. I thought, oh, that's good. Use your words. Discuss what's wrong.
Oh boy, to a 2-year-old, that's fine. Listen,
But that's good. That's where they learn at, and that's a big part of this pouting is they don't know how to express what's going on and how they feel.
Right. Well, speaking of parenting, and this is all about parenting, as Corey said, my last question is good too. A recent article said parenting is one long goodbye. Sometimes it does feel like that when our kids are pushing us away as they grow up. Do your kids push you? What? Are you pouting?
I think that's like the saddest description of
Ever.
Yeah, like the
Yes.
saddest description of parenting ever. Looking at it as one long goodbye. That's like going on vacation and mourning at the beginning of the vacation that it's gonna end at some point. Like, I just think, you know, how are we supposed to live our lives? We're not supposed to be constantly looking back or, you know, looking forward. We're supposed to be living like, what do we need to do for today? Worry about today. So I just think that's
all of this work
sad.
and parenting for one long goodbye? I think not.
You know, I do understand the
I need a
question. I do
reward.
understand the question with an adult child, because there comes that day. The first one went to college, you know, and you're thinking, wow, you know I'm going to miss you. So I think the issue here is the level of control versus relationship. If you are very controlling in your parenting, you're going to miss that kid because you don't have somebody to control.
Oh, that's why the empty nest.
If you teach them to make choices, okay, these are your choices. What are you going to decide? How are you going to make that decision? Then you're teaching them to make decisions so when they say goodbye, you can let them go. But they always come back when they have grandchildren.
Oh, that's really good.
See, if I could word it differently, it would be that parenting is one great release, one wonderful launch.
Yes,
you know,
that's
because that's
good.
really what parenting
Well,
is.
I would say with this goodbye thing, goodbye. No. Children are just on loan. They are a gift from God. So in my heart, you're never going to say goodbye. It's just a lovely gift that you hold on to and love and cherish, because that's what God gave our children to us for. Now, if you have any questions, there's a number at the bottom of the screen, and we'll be right back to wrap it up.
Here on Sister to Sister, we always end with a scripture, and today's scripture is in Proverbs. If you're looking for a great place to start reading in the Word, Proverbs is a great place to start. There's 31 chapters, so you could read one for each day. So I always recommend that. This is from Proverbs 1:7-8. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother. I am so thankful that I have parents that raised me in the Lord and modeled this wisdom and instruction to me. But I'll have to admit to you that I didn't always cherish that instruction. And there were times when I did push it away, that I did act in foolishness. And maybe right now you're thinking, I didn't have parents that raised me like that, or I'm just having a moment of foolishness right now, or maybe your whole life you felt like you've been just living in foolishness. The key is in that verse, the very beginning of that verse. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So today, maybe today is the day that you need to take that first step of the beginning of knowledge, the fear of the Lord. Take that step in faith. I promise you that the Lord will never turn away from you. He will never fail you.
I love that, Corey. I love that so much. And I love you so much for tuning into Sister to Sister. And we have another thing. As iron sharpens iron, so does the countenance of a man or a sister sharpen the other. See you next time.